How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Donald Trump's most recent interview on HBO, which was conducted by a journalist from Axios. This interview was interesting for a few different reasons. First and foremost, the journalist asking the questions had all kind of crazy facial expressions when Trump would answer certain things he didn't like. It was really unprofessional. But beyond just the reporter interacting with Trump and his facial expressions, the subject matter was also very interesting. They were talking about John Lewis and his legacy. They were talking about what Trump has done for Black Americans and also about the virus, the cases and the deaths and whatnot. Now, I cannot play the entire thing here. We are on the YouTubes, so I will put that full video, it's like a half hour or more long, in the description box below if you want to see it for yourself. What I can play here is a couple of clips. The first one will be from CNN, aka China News Network, aka the Clinton News Network, and they'll show the part where we're talking about John Lewis, and then I'll show a clip about the virus as far as the cases and the deaths and the crazy facial expressions. After we get done watching those, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said in both of those clips. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
John Lewis is lying in state in the US Capitol. How do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration. He chose, I never met John Lewis, actually, I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive, but no, but I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come to my State of the Union speeches, and that's okay, that's his right. And again, nobody has done more for Black Americans than I have.
I understand.
He should have come. I think he made a big mistake.
But taking your relationship with him out of it, do you find his story impressive, what he's done for this country?
He was a person that devoted a lot of energy and a lot of heart to civil rights, but there were many others also. Take a look at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
We're going to look.
Let's look.
And if you look at death,
started to go up again.
One. Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than
what is that?
Europe.
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad. Much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
You can't do that. You have
Why
to go.
can't I do that?
You have to go by where. Look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why not as a proportion of population?
When we have somebody. What it says is when you have somebody that has where there's a case.
Oh, okay.
The people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus South Korea.
No, because you have to go by the cases.
Well, look at South Korea, for example. 51 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's crazy compared to...
You don't know that.
I do. It's
you don't know that.
You think they're faking their statistics, South Korea?
I won't get into that because I have a very good relationship with the country. But you don't know that. And they have spikes. Look, here's
Germany
one.
Low, 9,000.
Here's one right here, United States. You take the number of cases. Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
Last? I don't know what we're first in. As a what?
Take a look. Again, it's cases. And we have cases because of the testing.
All right, you saw that, you heard that. Now, there was a lot there. That was a really interesting couple of clips. First things first, about John Lewis. Now, I'll give you my just personal take on it. You heard what Trump said. You saw the reporter trying to get him to basically lie. Okay, I'm gonna talk about that first. They say Trump has told like 20,000 lies or whatever they want to come up with, some kind of random number. You know, if Trump says that the sky is clear and it's foggy, oh, that's a lie, and it's 2 lies because not only is it not clear, it's also raining. You know, dumb stuff like that, they'll say. Okay, you say he's a liar, but then you put him in a position to where he has to lie. Let's be clear. John Lewis did not like Trump, and I don't think Trump liked John Lewis. That's just a reality. That's not going to change because John Lewis has passed away. May he rest in peace. But that's not going to change. I'm not going to sit there. If I were Trump, I'm not going to sit there and be fake like, oh, I love John Lewis, who's my best friend. No, it's just not the case. And then what Trump was saying is how John Lewis didn't like him. So we didn't like each other. I'm not going to sit here and be fake. I'm not going to give him like disrespect and say I hate him or nothing like that. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he was just some great guy if you don't believe it. You know, it's the same thing that I was saying. It was like, look, I'm not going to heap undue praise on this man just because he passed away. I'm not going to say that he's, you know, I'm glad he's gone or I hate him or nothing like that. I would never say that. I mean, the man's dead, but I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to be fake, but I'm going to respect this man and his family. That's just how it goes. But respect does not mean I got to just shower you with undue praise or praise I didn't have for you from the beginning. If I did not want to praise you while you were living, I'm not going to do when you die just because you're dead. That's not really how that works. So that's generally what Trump was getting at, in my humble opinion. And he was respectful being able to do that as well. Now, speaking about Black Americans, people kind of misread what he was saying. People said that Trump did more for Black Americans than John Lewis. I mean, really, if he said that, if he meant that, would it be totally false? I mean, you can argue that point actually, because what John Lewis did, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but what he did was he was out there fighting for civil rights in the 60s. And he had the most infamous thing he did was being on the bridge, and he almost got beat to death by the police because he was protesting for civil rights. That's what John Lewis did back in like the late 60s. When right around the time MLK got shot or whatever, like mid to late 60s. Okay, so 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, like what's been happening since then? I mean, like I said, not to disrespect the man or to deny what he did in the 60s, but what have you done for me lately? That's kind of what's going on. So that's an arguable point. But I don't think Trump was talking about that. I think he was talking about other presidents, which he always does. And you can't really deny it. I mean, aside from Abraham Lincoln, how many more presidents have done for Black Americans what Trump has done? I mean, you're talking about prison reform, opportunity zones, fighting for school choice. You're talking about permanently funding HBCUs, a lot of different things that he's done. Now, some would say, oh, well, Trump is talking about, you know, crime and violence and whatnot. That's all that Black folks are to him. Well, to anybody that says that he's focusing on crime and violence as a way to help Black folks, what else do you want? If anybody's out there and they don't support Trump and they're trying to figure out why I do, and you're Black and you're saying, okay, what can Trump do for me? The question is, what do you want? We got to be able to come with an actual, you know, a presentation, a package, or some kind of, I don't know, an offer to Trump. It's like, okay, we want X, Y, and Z. That's what it is. It's got to be a plan of action. It can't just be, oh, Trump should just do stuff for us without having any kind of feedback from the community. That's not how that works at all. And then they get to the whole thing about the virus. I've been saying this for a long time. They say the U.S. has a bunch of cases and deaths are spiking, but the reporter is just doing basic reporter left-wing stuff. First, when the virus first popped in America back in like March, all the craze was talking about the deaths. Oh, so many deaths. Everybody's dying. Death, death, death. That's what the main thing was back then, right? Then when the deaths fell off, when it started to get warm, then it was, okay, that's so many cases. The media reported the deaths with the same amount of intensity as the cases. You see what I'm saying? So when they switch from deaths to cases, the regular, average, everyday normie does not understand the difference. They think that it's still some kind of really serious thing, but it's not. If you have more cases and less deaths, then that means you have a less deadly virus. It's really simple. So the fear from the death is not here anymore. I'm willing to bet that most Americans that live in cities have been exposed to the virus. So you're talking about 80% of Americans have been exposed to it some kind of way. They're talking about wearing masks. What about your hands? Okay, it could spread through touch. It could spread through your eyes. Fauci said wear goggles or a face shield. It could spread through your eyes. You could touch and touch your face, and the mask can't even prevent you from getting the virus through your mask. All the mask can do is prevent you from spreading it to other people. So, I mean, people have been exposed to it already. It's not as deadly as we thought it was from the very beginning. You're talking about like a 99.9% heal rate, survival rate. and there's new ways to treat it. There's certain drugs we know about. I won't say what those are, but I'll link to it in the box. Wink, wink. There are certain things out there that can help you that have been approved by doctors all over the world, not just the United States, but all over the world, by thousands upon thousands of medical healthcare professionals. They've said these things work. They're actually helping people survive, and they're getting rid of their ailments. That's what's going on right now today. But the media want to focus on the amount of cases and make it be the same thing as the deaths that were happening back in March. That's not the case anymore. It's simply not the case. So Trump was correct to point out the fact that you have many more cases, but much less deaths. People have been saying that for a very long time, but the media want to just be on there making crazy faces at you, talking about, oh, this isn't really real. Yes, it is real. Okay. You guys on the left and the left stream media moved the goalposts when the death thing was no longer a big issue. So as I close, I want to say this. The interview was really interesting. I think Trump handled himself pretty well, as normal. What I want to see is a Joe Biden get put in that same seat that Trump was in. Okay, you really don't see that much from Joe Biden. I saw him, do like heavily edited stuff. Like, I want to see him live get interviewed like that. He's at these press conferences and barely answers any questions. He'll go out there and speak for like 2 minutes and leave without answering any questions. Trump's always out there answering questions. I want to see Trump do the same thing. I want to see Biden do the same thing that Trump has been doing as far as the question answering. Also, I want to see him do the debates. The Biden squad says we want to debate, but the left are trying to cover for him. They're trying to cape for him, as the cool kids say, and not have Biden go, because they know that if Biden goes to a debate, it's going to be a wrap. People don't really know Joe Biden. They knew that he was part of the Obama administration as a vice president, but they don't know this man. They don't know that his cognitive ability has sharply declined. People like myself and maybe yourself that watches news, we know it, but they don't know it. So when they see this man out there in front of 20 million people worldwide, it's going to be a dumpster fire of epic proportion. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Trump answered the questions appropriately in the interview? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. Or did he answer the questions inappropriately? Was he disrespectful to John Lewis? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. I think it was right on point. And like I said, I want to see Joe Biden in that same hot seat. How about it? People want to criticize the president for how he answers questions and how he says certain things, but you only had a chance to see Joe Biden in that element. If Joe Biden was right there in that seat, it'd be ridiculous. We've already seen him make major, quote unquote, gaffes. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black, all this, that, and the third. Put him in the same seat and then we could talk. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.